Let's go to our Michigan running backs. And I think I picked Chad Henne first for the quarterback, so I'm going to let you take the first swing at top running back.
Mike Hart.
I was going to say, you're going to take the running backs, coach?
Yep. Well, not the most physically gifted of the running back, some of these running backs that we'll probably talk about. I mean, he's obviously the team's leading rusher, all-time leading rusher, came in as a true freshman and was a starter ever since. Almost never fumbled, 5,040 yards, 41 touchdowns, it looks like. So pretty darn good.
I mean, he was fifth in Heisman voting in 2006.
Yep. So we will go with Mike Hart.
Technically, it was higher than Blake Corum, who was seventh this past year in Heisman voting. Man, all right. Number 2. I think I'm gonna take. I feel like, did he play? I think he did the 2000-2001 season. I'm gonna take Anthony Thomas.
Yep, he did play. Yeah, he counts.
Okay, I think he was in the final season with Drew Henson. So, 4,100 rushing yards in his career, almost 5 yards a carry, 49 touchdown runs, which I want to say is first in Michigan history in rushing touchdowns.
49 probably is. Yes, it is.
Yep.
He's 2 ahead of
Tyrone Wheatley, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even Denard at 42. That's crazy.
Yep.
And then, 750 receiving yards too, which is higher than a lot of these running backs as well. If I'm looking at it, it might be towards the top in receiving yards for these running backs.
He's a great screen running back. Yep. Jamie Moore is a bit higher, but yep.
I think I'll happily take him there too.
Okay. I will go with. This is tough. There's been some pretty good backs. There's been some not as good backs too. There's been some guys I thought were going to be really good and they weren't. Like Carlos Brown.
Yeah, fullback.
Michael Shaw. I'm actually going to take Blake Corum here.
Okay.
Mostly because I think from a pure talent standpoint, he might be the best running back I've seen at Michigan. He's basically Mike Hart, but fast. Averaging 6 yards a carry. Coming back to, he is 17th all time right now in career rushing yards at Michigan. He's not going to pass his running backs coach, but he's averaging over a yard per carry more. And he could pass his running back coach in total touchdowns. He's got 31 touchdowns in 417 attempts. So really excited for one more year for him.
6 yards a carry too. That's
6 yards a carry is pretty nuts, especially he was over 6 yards a carry last year and he had like over 250 carries. So he's been really, really good. So
to me, it was kind of back and forth for him between his next guy. I'm going to say Chris Perry here next. Chris Perry finished 4th in Heisman voting in 2003 and had over 3,650 rushing yards in his career, over 4.5 yards per carry, with 39 touchdowns rushing, and then another 570 yards receiving. So a huge piece to that Lloyd Carr offense with John Navarre.
Yes. He was actually
Braylon Edwards, John Navarre.
Yeah, he was actually a really good receiving running back for a while for the Bengals. He could catch the ball out of the backfield. They used him a lot as a receiver.
Yeah.
Man. 5.
Butch Wolfick.
Well, he'd be on here if it was all time.
Right.
Man. I'll take Hassan Haskins here.
It's a good one. Yeah.
Came in as a linebacker,
Wait, hold up, really? I
Yeah,
love Michigan football, and I did not know that.
yeah. Came in as a linebacker, so he's only, I mean, so he played 2019, 2021, 5.1 yards per carry, or 2,324 yards, 30 touchdowns. Not much a receiver, only 171 yards receiving on 24 catches. But
Part of that Thunder and Lightning.
yeah, I mean, he had an incredible year, one of the best years Michigan running backs ever had last year.
It's against
And
Ohio State, a Michigan running back's ever had.
yeah, probably the best game other than maybe Biaka Batuka against Ohio State.
True. Yeah.
So yeah, as good as it gets. I mean, he was awesome. Especially he just got better and better every year. So um, his career should be remembered fondly.
Yeah. Sue me. I'm taking Donovan Edwards.
I
I
figured
don't. I
he'd
maybe
probably
it's.
end up on the list. Honestly, I mean,
I mean, if
he's
it's premature, but yeah, he's actually. I think he's going to go to the NFL next year. So even if he has another 1,000 yard season, that puts him right around the career of Hassan Haskins.
right.
For total rushing yards in his career. So right now he's at 1165, but he averages 6.7 yards a carry,
Yep.
which I'm gonna check, but I'm pretty
It is
sure
the
that's
record. It'd be the record for anybody that actually qualifies. It'd be the record.
trying to find anyone else. Desmond Howard at 10.8. Good job. Find a guy that had at least 50 carries, can we?
No, I mean, there's some guys that
Yeah, no, it's Donovan Edwards. It's Donovan Edwards.
Jim Smith had 56 carries.
Yeah, I see that. John Vaughn was
7
close at
yards a carry.
6.3. That's the next. Denard Robinson was 6.2.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Jim Smith, 56 carries. So that's insanity. I don't feel bad anymore about taking him here. I think obviously next year he's still going to split time with Blake Corum. I think we're going to lose both of them to the NFL next year.
Yep. Probably. You would think. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I mean, with Donovan and stuff, and obviously injuries and things like that could change things. But you know, you'd think we'd lose both. That's fine.
We'll get Cole Cabana. It's all right.
Yeah, that's fine. They're gonna. This should be a fun team.
Cole
I think
Cabana will be on this list one day.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
He's a little undersized for my liking right now, but
is he like Sam McGuffey?
he's a little Sam McGuffey like. Should I take Sam McGuffey on here?
McGuffey-esque.
Basically from his just based off of his YouTube highlight tape, we're taking Sam McGuffey.
Oh, I thought is bobsled YouTube?
Yeah, he won the gold. He won gold.
Yeah. Or is his Rice highlights?
Yeah, he was a slot receiver. No, at 7, I'm gonna take Fitz Toussaint.
Hey.
2,290 yards, 4.5 yards per carry, 28 touchdowns, 2 more touchdowns receiving, about 300 yards receiving. Had a really, really good year in 2011, if I recall. Over 1,000 yards that year. Up until, was it Haskins last year? Maybe Higdon hit 1,000 yards at one point. Up until that, he had been the last 1,000-yard running back rusher. We had Denard went over 1,000 a couple times, but yeah, pretty good career. Was at the game where he just annihilated his knee against Iowa, so that was pretty much it for him. After that, he came back and played the next year, but he was not the same guy, and it's kind of a shame because I think he could have probably. He was on the Steelers for a little while, if I remember right.
Yep, he was. Yep.
He was all right. He was
there with Rashard Mendenhall.
Yeah, he played a little bit in the NFL, so he definitely had a cup of coffee in the NFL. But I think without the injury, I think he would have had a better chance. So
I'm gonna take Michigan's version of Marshawn Lynch, Devion Smith.
Cool.
Next, 2,235 rushing yards, 4.5 yards a carry with 22 touchdowns. Added another 250 plus yards receiving. I just think he's got some of the best highlight runs too for Michigan in the last several years. The run against Maryland was absolutely nuts. And yep. I'm trying to remember another one where he looked like Marshawn Lynch versus the Saints in another game.
BYU.
Yeah, just really fun. And I think, he got picked up by the Jets at first, coming out of college and as an undrafted, and then spent some time with the USFL and the AAF.
Yep.
Try to keep his career moving, but he also was he on the Hard Knocks? Did he get, or it was like there's a camera
Yeah.
I thought that caught him
Yeah.
like,
Eating the pizza or whatever.
yeah, was that
Yeah. That
him?
whole thing was stupid. Yeah. That was him. Yeah.
That's yeah, I don't know. So either way though, I always just like the way he ran over people and put up some incredible.
I thought he was a really solid running back, especially by the time he left. You know,
Mhm.
he was fine. He was like solid. I wasn't mad he was back there.
I
And
just felt like he was guaranteed to get you 3-4 yards a pop.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Just needed you to wear out the defense a little bit.
For sure. I'm gonna take Karan Higdon here.
That was my next guy.
Yeah. 2,616 yards, 5.6 yards a carry. He had some explosiveness in there, 27 touchdowns, another 177 yards receiving. Was solid. Turned himself into a really good Big Ten running back, above average even, I'd say. In what, 2018, I think it was his best year, right?
Yeah, that was his last one.
Yeah. He was good. I mean, I think I could see right away. I remember when we basically flipped him from Iowa at the last second because we needed another running back. I remember watching him even his freshman year. He played a little bit, and I'm like, all right, I think this guy's gonna be pretty good. He just kept slipping in the hole every single time, and I'm like, dude, like he could have had 5 touchdowns his freshman year if he stopped falling down. And then finally he stopped falling down, and he had a pretty good career the last couple of years before or after that. So he kind of like emerged because there were a decent amount of backs on that team that could have gotten carries. Chris Evans, Smith was on one of those teams, wasn't he?
Ty
Yeah.
Isaac on that
A
team.
couple of those teams. Ty Isaac. So there was a lot of backs, and he kind of emerged out of those guys as the in 2017, 2018 as the best back. So
Yeah, number 10 includes one of the guys you mentioned. I went back and forth between Chris Evans and Brandon Miner for 10 here. But I'm going to take Chris Evans just with the receiving ability. He also had 5.6 yards a carry. Really, that's impressive. 1,800 rushing yards, only 15 touchdowns. But he was one of the faster guys in the roster at the time he was there too.
Yep.
Remember him and like J. Hugh Chesson for a little bit. They were thinking about racing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, add the nearly 500 yards receiving and almost 10 yards a catch, which is really good for a running back.
Yes.
I'm going to take Chris Evans over Brandon Miner. Barely.
Yeah, I think that's close. I probably would lean Evans as well. I think Evans was just a better running back overall. I mean, obviously he's still on the NFL roster.
Mm-hmm.
So, Miner, I think Miner struggled with injuries a lot in his career too, and Miner was definitely explosive as well. But I would go definitely with probably Chris Evans there. It's close though. I thought Brandon Miner was going to be like legit his freshman year when he was spelling Mike Hart actually, and then I don't know, just never worked out. He got hurt a lot, and then he played in Rich Rodriguez's offense. So,
who would you put after Miner and Evans there? Do you have like any honorable mentions?
I thought BJ Askew was good.
Askew was probably my other one that I was thinking of.
And he was a really good receiver as well. He had 728 receiving yards in his
played
career.
Fullback in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Yep, but Askew was a really good receiver.
Vincent Smith is the guy that
Smith would be considered, I guess. I think
there's a little bit of a fall off after Askew, honestly.
The only other guy you could even think about, Carlos Brown had moments.
Yeah, Carlos Brown, Ty Isaac.
If you count
Michael
Zach
Shaw,
Charbonnet,
Michael Shaw played in the NFL for a couple years with the Giants.
If you count Zach Charbonnet's UCLA days, he'd probably be like number 4.
You're right. Yeah, he's on the list. I didn't even think about that. Derek Green. Oof.
Ugh, no.
Drake Johnson.
Drake Johnson, what could have been, but then he got ran over by a forklift. Yeah, after that, there's just a bunch of guys. Some guys
Kevin
that turned it out. Thomas Rawls. He played in the league.
See, yeah, Rawls Yeah, Rawls and Charbonnet are both guys that transferred out, but were good. I mean, obviously, he went to go to Central and then played a couple of years in the league as a Seahawks running back and was actually pretty solid.
He was good for moments. True Wilson's on here.
Yeah.
Jerome Jackson, I remember Jerome Jackson. He was pretty good as a backup to Mike Hart and probably Chris Perry in 2003. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's some definitely falls off. I'd say probably after, like you said, probably after Minor or Askew or
I would say
something.
Askew, you could still think about putting on at 10, but I think after that, it's
no doubt. There's a lot of good running back names on this in general, like non in that time period. But I mean, this is a great list. I think. I mean, I would take.
I think this. We're almost lately, especially running back. I mean, we're just getting guys. We're making the best out of whoever we pick up.
A lot of good running backs, I would say, and I think it's a different. It's not a dying position. It's just a position that has high turnover and is hard to maintain, especially in the NFL. So I think.
Yeah, we see how fast legs die. I mean, Todd Gurley's a huge example of that.
Right. I mean,
he was Larry Johnson, Michael Turner. I mean, those are all guys that had outstanding 2-3 years.
Chris Johnson, even I would say he was.
Chris Johnson,
excellent for probably 2 years. So it happened.
Emmett Smith. No, I'm just kidding.
He just really fell off.
Frank Gore.
Yeah, he just really fell off a cliff after his 58th year in the league. Gee, that was quick.
Just happened.
Some of these guys are built different, but I mean, most guys, it's 4, maybe 5 years. I mean, you can see it. The guys that can stick around are pretty rare. So,
well, I think that's why they're trying to encourage longevity by doing running back by committee now. It doesn't bode well for people that want to get high payouts in the league, but
yeah. I mean, random running backs will go off for like one season. Like, who was it a few years ago? Who had a crazy year and then we never heard from him again.
Peyton Hillis.
Peyton Hillis was obviously one of them. He got the Madden cover.
Mm-hmm.
And you never really heard from him again. But he was on that Arkansas team that had Felix Jones and Darren McFadden. That was their backfield. Peyton Hillis.
Felix Jones is also another guy that you're like, okay.
He was good for the Cowboys for a while. Darren McFadden was the best college running backs I've ever seen.
Steve Slayton had a good first year.
Yep. Steve Slayton was really good at West Virginia. So these guys, like, they come in and they have a good year, maybe 2, and it's hard to maintain that. So
I was going to think of DeMarco Murray kind of fell off the plate after he had some really good years.
Yeah, he was good. He's another Oklahoma guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting position because there's plenty of guys that have been outstanding running backs that can only last 5-6 years, and you have other ones that, like you said, built different and go 10, 12
or you have other guys that like maybe weren't like the greatest in college where they were like pretty good, right? And then they just kind of build themselves into like having a pretty darn long career, right? And
Arian Foster's
one. He was he undrafted? I think he was undrafted.
He was undrafted, yeah. I mean, Aaron Jones was a 6th-round pick.
Yep, there's guys that just kind of turn themselves into something as well. So it's interesting. It is a weird position, but it's becoming more and more guys. Teams they're just not going to pay running backs. So
unless you believe he's going to get you 18 and 25 carries a game, there's no reason to pay a running back.
But even like you're paying Christian McCaffrey a lot of money, and he's not even going to be able to give you that all the time, right?
What he does in the passing game, though,
right? So that's why it's like Donovan Edwards. I don't hate him at number 6 on this list because he's the best receiver on this list. I'll say that right now. So, all
right. Well, we'll do wide receivers next week, and we'll talk about the championship games and the Pro Bowl flag football preview. No, I'm just kidding.
We break that one down. What are you looking for in this one?
Just who's the best flag grabber in the league?
Yeah, we'll see how good they're at grabbing flags. I'm not even going to watch that. I don't think.
All right. Yeah, we'll catch you next week, man.
See you.